Mic check, mic check. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, here we go. Welcome, people, to the Puras Pendejadas podcast. I am your host. I am Rob D, aka Robert, aka Roberto, aka whatever you want to fucking call me. Um, Today's date is, well, in a couple minutes, it will be April the 11th. I'm recording this on a Sunday night. Probably end up posting it. I don't know when. Well, hopefully Monday. I'll aim for Monday. How about that? Just between me and you. Um, Man, it's been not. I don't want to say a crazy day. Nah, not a crazy day. What's been making it unpleasant, kinda, is man, these fucking allergies. Fuck, they've been irritating me. I haven't gotten them. No, you know what? It's regular annoying. Mm, my throat is been itchy. The whole facial inside area. You know how it goes. Your ears, your nose. My nose is runny, but it's just water coming out. It's annoying though. Um, so been dealing with that. Yesterday and today, but um, I have had them worse. I'm not gonna lie. So I guess I can't complain, right? Um, as far as today goes, pretty much just got some. Um, Let me see. What did I do? I watched the Nets. The Nets played. Who they play? The Pacers, and they secured their seventh spot, I believe. Now I may be wrong, because once I tune out, I tune out. So I think they're good. We're not out of the playoffs completely. Lakers. I'm just playing. Um, but yeah, I think we're good for the playoffs. I don't know. I just enjoyed watching the game, and that's another thing too. As far as the game goes, um, how can I put this lightly? I don't have the NBA League Pass. I think that's what it's called. I don't even know what it's called. I don't have cable, so I stream the games. And I just set up this new Fire Stick that I got. Well, actually, it's old. It's an old Fire Stick, and I set it up so I don't have the app that I usually use around the house. I guess because it's been discontinued and shit. But I guess they caught on. But anyways, I've been trying to look for it. I couldn't find it. I found like a similar version, and I was trying to watch the game today, but it would go, it would get it would get taken down a lot. But yeah, so that was kind of annoying too. Um, but I guess I saw the game. I don't know. Yeah. And what else? What else did I do today? Oh yeah. The big one, the big routine, the big tradition that me and my son have is, I cut his hair, not every week, every other week, and it's a tradition that I want to stick to. I think there's we will benefit from it. Especially in the future and stuff like that. And I do not know how to cut hair. I went into this not knowing how to cut hair. And it's been about, let me see, he's about to be 7. I've been cutting his hair for, shit, man. Let me see. I would have to say maybe like 5 years. God damn, 5 fucking years. Holy shit, I suck. Uh, yeah, I gotta sharpen up. You know what it is too, though. It's the whole, since he's growing out of his baby hair face. Um, if you cut hair, you know what I'm talking about. The hair goes under the clippers. It doesn't really get, and it's just been really difficult. That, and he doesn't necessarily enjoy it, and it doesn't help that I take longer than usual because I'm learning. So it's always interesting cutting his hair. And yeah, okay, quick story. So about, let me see, I've been cutting his hair for 5 years, I would say, I have to say like 4 years ago, right? uh I think we had just moved into the house, or something like that. um, it was during the summer, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cut his hair. I think I had been cutting his hair in the restroom, and I was like, you know what? It's fucking hot. Let's go outside and let's cut your hair. So I was setting everything up outside and whatever. And boy, oh boy, this kid is my son. Cause let me tell you, he is stubborn, super stubborn. If he doesn't like it, if he doesn't want to do it, he is not gonna fucking do it, man. So I'm setting him up outside, right? Getting everything ready and stuff. And then sure as shit, man, he starts fucking crying. He starts throwing a fucking tantrum. And all I'm doing is just running the clip. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. I'm just giving him a fucking buzz cut, right? So I'm just running the clippers through. He's like, yelling, yelling. He starts crying, and then he starts crying, yelling. He starts yelling, and then it turns into a fucking scream. Then I'm like, hold on, man. Like, hold on. I'm like probably maybe like halfway through. And then he starts, and he's just fucking like tantrum, like yelling, screaming, and no. And then he starts saying, no, daddy, no, daddy, no, no, daddy, no. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, jeez. And he's just like, no, daddy, no, 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 no. And then he just started like yelling more and more, telling me to stop, And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. All right, let's go before fucking neighbors, start, I don't know, knocking on the door or some shit. It's just, it was embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. This shit was embarrassing. So I go inside to take him back into the restroom, and I just finish it up. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. And yeah, he's still crying, but he's not fucking throwing the tantrum that he was outside, right? So anyways, finishing up his haircut or whatever, he's crying the whole fucking time. Okay, he's crying. I love my son to death, and I hope you're hearing this when you're fucking a grown up man. God damn, you're a pain in the butt that day. I love you though. And so then we're getting him into the bath, and right as we're getting him into the bath, our Balboa, our dog, starts fucking barking like fucking crazy, right? And he's outside in the front. We have a gate, and he starts fucking barking like crazy. And I'm like, well, what the hell, man? Like, usually, he barks here and there, but this guy was going crazy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Hold on, let me go. So it was me and my wife. We were both, trying to calm him down and stuff, So we're both in the restroom with him, and then I peek out the window, and the fucking cops are outside, dude. The fucking cops. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck, man? And Balboa's out there doing his job, he's just fucking barking at him like crazy. So then I call him in, he comes in and stuff or whatever, and I tell him like, oh, I'll be right out there. And it's two cops, right? And I go out there, and I'm thinking like, don't fucking tell me that someone called the fucking cops. So I go out there, and he's like, they're like, hey, we just got a complaint from one of your neighbors saying that, there was a child. They could hear a child screaming in the backyard. And, we're just coming to do, what is it called? A welfare check, I think? Some shit like that. I don't know. It's been a while. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's because, I was, cutting his hair. And, it's kind of warm inside. So I figured, I just want to cut his hair outside. That way it could be at least a little bit fresher or whatever. He's like, oh, okay, cool. They were cool. They were cool. And they're like, do you mind if we step inside just, just to take a look around, to see if he's okay? And I was like, yeah, sure. So, they come in or whatever. And my daughter, Haley's like frozen, like, what the hell? And before they walked in, actually, I told them, I was like, look, the cops are going to come in. They're just going to, look around, check just to make sure we're not, beating him or whatever like that, and just, you have nothing to worry about, whatever. So come in. And I believe my sister was here. If I'm not, then I think you were here. So they come in or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, me and my wife are fucking livid, right? Because we're putting up with my son, and then I even think we got in an argument too. It just wasn't good. So we're like, fuck, man, just calm down, whatever. So they come in or whatever, and they check him or whatever. He was in the tub. They're like, can you just lift him up just to check him? And yeah, we lift him up, turn him around and stuff. Like, okay, all right, hey, no problem, we get it. And I told him, I was like, all this stuff, you could see like the hair and some of the clipper equipment or whatever is still in the backyard if you want to go check. And they're like, yeah, sure. So they go and they check and or whatever. And like, sorry if you guys had to be sent out here. I tried to do something new, but it didn't work out. And they're like, no, no, we get it, man. The little man doesn't like his haircuts or whatever. Just just wanted to check up. All right, cool, whatever. They leave and stuff. And ever since then, man, like I think that was the point where I was like, oh man, this little man here is how do I say it? He is of my bloodline. Stubborn, man. The little man is stubborn, which is good. Like I tell my wife, I want to make sure, these types of characteristics that my daughter and him have, I want to make sure they could use it and how do I say it? Use it as a tool, you know what I mean? As they grow, hopefully when people tell them no, they're going to be like, no, cabrón, por mis huevos que si va a pasar, you know what I mean? And hopefully they learn how to use it, I call it their superpower. They just don't know how to manage it, how to handle it yet. But it could be good. But goddamn, man, man, you want to talk about hard headed? You know what I mean? But yeah. So I was telling that story because I was talking about how I want to make it a tradition to have some time to spend with him, as he grows and stuff. And he still gets a little fussy here and there, and I'm still learning. It is not smooth at all, people. You know what I mean? I'm not fucking perfect. I mean, come on, but I think in the long run it will help our relationship, hopefully. You know what I mean? And hey, man, I'm learning a new trait. He does look way better than when I started, but I know I still have a long way to go. But hey, he's not embarrassed. He says that his teacher says he likes his haircut. Um, but yeah, I would really want to keep that tradition going on. Just because growing up, I never had none of that with my dad. I never really had something that we do on a certain day or even like at a certain time. You know what I mean? Like it really wasn't. And my dad was always at work, and when he wasn't at work, it wasn't the best relationship. And I want to make sure I could change that. You know what I mean? Um, and I've been lucky enough that, throughout life, especially like looking back, that I've experienced what not to do. You know what I mean? And instead of copying out and just being like, well, my dad was a piece of shit, so I guess I'm gonna be a piece of shit dad. Fuck it. I kind of, I don't know what it is. I was talking to my big brother a while back ago, and I was telling him like I don't know what it is that guided me, because I had all the perfect examples, the perfect excuses of what not to do and just to do it, And I was like, throughout time, I was like, what is this? What is this thing? I don't know if it's, the universe, if it's God. And I remember my big brother telling me like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I thought it was like like a bigger reveal or some shit. I don't know what I was expecting to hear, but I was like, I remember the way he said it, like, yeah, that's what it is. And that's what I took it for. Like, I think, simple y sencillo, like it's just, God just guides you and opens up your third eye and like makes you notice certain things, and it's up to you to like, receive the message. And then it's also up to you to like, what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? Because, you could just cop out and take the easy road, or are you actually going to put in the fucking work and be better than the example that you were given? And that's my mission. You know what I mean? That's my mission. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm learning a lot, man. I am learning a lot, especially around this time of the year. My daughter, it's going to be her birthday on Friday. And then 2 weeks later, it's gonna be my son's birthday. So this is definitely a reflection time of the year. um, and it's just interesting to see them grow, man. It's interesting and to see your work pay off, to see where you still need some work being done. It's really really interesting to see, and I think I want to tell you guys. Let's take a come take a ride with me on this time machine really quick. I want to tell you guys the beginning of how I let me see, how do I put it? My starting point of growing up. You know what I mean? There was a point where I had to grow up really really quick, and this is definitely a milestone, and I want to share it with you guys. All right, so let's go back. All right, let's go back and picture Robert, right? 17-year-old Robert. And let me just paint the picture, right? So like I said, me and my dad's relationship wasn't that good. Me and my mom's relationship was, rocky too. And, I am the oldest of three, so there was my brother. He's a middle child. And then my sister's the youngest, right? So I was always stuck at home, babysitting them for, I honestly don't know, for as long as I could remember. I don't remember changing diapers, being left home alone changing diapers, but I do remember my sister being really young and me babysitting, which is fine. It's what an older sibling does, right? Whatever. It just got old, because it was years and years and years and years. And then, me growing, me being a teenager. Like I said, the I'm just painting a picture, right? The home, I don't think it was a happy home. Me, my brother, and my sister had to share a room. It was a 2-bedroom house. Me and my brother were 6 years apart. Me and my sister were 9 years apart. Like I said, the house was really tiny, and when I say broken home, what I mean is that there was no communication. You know what I mean? I would ask a lot of questions. I remember that. I remember asking a lot of questions, mostly to my mom, because my dad, like I said, he really wasn't around that much. Even on his free time, he would go out. It was always a priority. Oh, SOC, he would always go out. That was a fucking for sure thing. Every fucking Saturday he was out. So, he would dress up. I think he still does. He would dress up as a like as a cowboy, like a cowboy, con sus botas y su tejana y todo el pedo. So he would once we would see him, dress up. Me being naive and being hopeful, I already knew what Saturdays were gonna be. So, but I remember like, oh, maybe today's the day where we'll go out somewhere. Maybe he'll take us out. And once we would see him bust out the boots, yeah, it's like, all right, it's just another Saturday, huh? And those are the types of things that I'm telling you, like earlier, that like you don't. I'm grateful those types of things stood out. You know what I mean? And my family was not a close knit family as far as like aunts, uncles, cousins, none of that shit. Yeah, we would go to birthday parties, but that's why like family to me, like blood family at least, is like I don't want to say it doesn't mean much. It's just I don't communicate. You know what I mean? I've grown up like that. I have closer family that is not blood related to me, and I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of you guys out there like that, the same way. So anyways, back to the story, right? So like I said, there's no communication. My parents had been going through some bullshit, I'll save that story for another day. But basically, my dad was, let me see, I would have to say, at that point, right, 17-year-old Rob, I would have to say my dad was sleeping on the couch for about 4 to 5 years. Shit, maybe even longer. We'll just say 4 to 5 years, right? Pinche sillón está todo sumido, está todo desgastado, güey. And so, he was sleeping on the couch. it was a regular thing, sadly, you know. So and it was already assumed, you know, that if, you know, they were to step out, especially my mom, she had to go to the store or whatever the fuck. She would take fucking ever. Hours, people, hours. I don't know. Till this day, I don't know where the fuck she would go. But she would just leave us home alone, you know? And it was already assumed, like, oh, Junior, cuida los niños. I'm like, fuck, man. So, you know, she would leave us home alone, you know, and then we would start, you know, telling her, like, hey, well, we're hungry, you know, by the time you get back, we're starving. And like, oh, okay. And she would fucking leave tostadas, right? Fucking chips. Tostadas and sour cream. Tostadas con crema. That was our fucking, like, our dish, man. I fucking hate that shit. And you know what? Just like within the past maybe year, 2 years, I've tried them, you know? But I was like anti that shit because it just like, it brought back so many bad fucking memories. And it's just like, oh, mom, tengo hambre. Voy a tostadas en crema. And they would buy the fucking tub, the fucking huge ass tub of sour cream. And like, yeah, and I'm like, fuck, man. And I think my brother, like, that's one of my brother's favorite snacks still. I think. I may be wrong, but I think I remember him saying something like, tostadas con crema. I was like, guacala, güey. And so, yeah, so it was, I don't know, it was just, it wasn't pleasant. You know what I mean? So, and most of the time, don't get me wrong, I would think about my brother and my sister and be like, all right, well, let's play. You know, let's jump on the bed. Let's do things that we can't normally do and we could get away with, you know? So, you know, watch movies and all this shit. And throughout the years, our bond, you know, became, you know, tight, you know? And then but I think as me going into my teenage years, I was fucking over it. You know what I mean? So I had a fucking attitude. And the shit never left. And so I was just like, man, fuck this, man. Or at least like give me more. I was just asking for like communication. You're going to leave? All right, cool. I don't mind taking care of them. But just tell me when you'll be back. Because this whole like up in the air shit, fucking bullshit, man. In my head, of course. I wouldn't be here talking about this if I actually said that shit to them. But you know what I mean? Like it was really frustrating, you know, to the point where, and I'm super embarrassed for this, you know, and I'm ashamed, and this is definitely not something you would do, right? But you know, I remember one time like going over, let me see, yeah, going over like heading out. You know what I mean? I left them home alone. I'm so ashamed of this, man. Something you do not do. You don't leave kids home alone. It's just, you know, that I was probably like 16, I think, or 15, and I went down the block just to go hang out with my wife. Actually, at the time, well, not at the time. At the time, she was just my friend, you know. But I remember she was over at her friend's house, and her friend lived a block away from me, and I was on the phone talking to her, to my now wife, and she was like, yeah, I'm over here at so and so's house. And oh yeah, like, wait a minute, doesn't she live like near me? Like, yeah, like, fuck it, man, let me go over. And they're like, are you sure? Aren't you taking care of your brother and your sister? No, they'll be fine. And stupid Rob, don't do that shit. You should have been. I'm ashamed. Don't do that shit, man. It's horrible. So yeah, I remember going over. I believe I had a cell phone. Yeah, I think I had. No, wait, I had a cell phone. So I was 16 because I was working at Whataburger, and I was paying for my service. So I remember telling my sister, call me if you need anything. Call me if my mom gets here. Call me. At that point, guys, I didn't give a fuck if I got caught or not. Like, I was like, you know, pinchy rebel. You know what I mean? Rebelling like a motherfucker, man. I was pissed. I was frustrated. And so she was like, okay. And I was like, I'll be gone for like, and I don't know what fucking time seemed reasonable at the time. You know, like I said, no time is reasonable. And so I headed out, whatever, hung out. headed back. Mom still wasn't back to what I believe, because I don't remember getting shitted on. I don't remember getting caught. So I just remember, whatever, going back. And, but yeah, so, I didn't do that. I don't think I did that again. Because, like I said, my conscience, um, you know what I mean? I knew I did something wrong. And, I even think my wife was like, I think you should go back. I don't think that it's a good idea to leave him alone for this long. And I was like, all right, cool. And, but yeah, I don't think I did that again. Anyways, so, I'm frustrated. I'm a teenager. There's no communication with my parents. And the fucking cherry on top is that, my dad was definitely not agreeing with me having a job. I don't know if it's because, his son was growing up. I don't know what it was, at a certain point. But he did not like that I had a job, right? So I was shunned. He would just see me, we'd cross paths, and he would just stare me down, keep walking. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck did I do? He would do that for a while, right? And I remember one time after, one of those stare downs, I looked at him and I was like, what the fuck? I thought to myself, like, what the fuck, man? And I remember looking at my mom because, she was there. And I was like, did you see that? Like, what is it with him staring me down? And she said, es que no le gusta que tienes trabajo. And I was like, why? Like, so what if I have a job? Like, you would think a parent would be proud, right? Because I did that. I took it upon myself. I didn't ask for help or anything like that. And she was just like, es que cree que te va a gustar el dinero y vas a dejar la escuela. And, to this day, I no me bajo de pendejo. You know what I mean? I'm not the brightest fucking tool in the shed, or no, the sharpest, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? I'm not the highest grade of weed in the dispensary. But I knew better, man. I knew better than to fucking drop out of school to keep on working at Whataburger. You know what I mean? And no shade to anybody that took that path, but that was not in my plans. And I was just curious about life. You know what I mean? And work ethic and all that other good shit. And I was like, wow, like he really thinks I'd leave school, like. And then I stopped and I remember thinking, like, well, if we were to talk, if we were to communicate, he would know that that's not me. He would know that his son wouldn't even fathom the idea of dropping out. You know what I mean? It's just frustrating, man. It's fucking frustrating. And skews the fuck out of me. And so, that kind of disappointed me a little. And so as the time would go on, I was just shunned, and so we zero in right on this one day where my parents had planned to go out, right? My parents never, ever, 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 ever went out. Okay? I could count the number of times on my hand that my dad took my mom out, right? So, my mom, I think she let me know the day before. Tu papá me va a sacar mañana. Blah, blah, blah. You got to take care of the kids. Yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, whatever, So, and my mom would work graveyards, right? So, it was a Friday, right? The day that they were going to go out. It was a Friday. So, I get home from school, and the typical routine at that point, right, was that I would get home from school. My brother and my sister would already be home, because I was in high school. They were in elementary, and my mom would be asleep, because she was working. She would work graveyards. She would be asleep. She would leave the fucking tostadas y crema in the fucking kitchen. You know what I mean? And don't fucking wake me up. Because I'm going to wake up fucking pissed off, even if you're hungry, And yes, I will have to, get up and feed you, but you better believe your fucking ass, I'm going to be bitching and complaining the whole fucking time, right? So, we knew better. So I get home and I'm talking to my friends and shit, and um, they had planned to get together and play some video games, right? So I'm like, oh shit, man. They're like, you gonna come over or what? And I'm like, I don't think so. Oh, okay, cool. But I said, I don't know, maybe I could go like just for a little bit, and then, but I don't know. I'll let you guys know. Like, okay, cool. So, as I'm getting home, while I'm heading home, I'm thinking that like, man, they're gonna get together, they're gonna play. I want to fucking play, and so I get home. My mom's asleep, of course. My brother and my sister are awake, and then I'm fucking in my head. It's just replaying. You're gonna come over or what? We're gonna play. We're gonna play. We're gonna get together and we're gonna play. And I'm fucking bored as fuck, right? I'm bored as shit at home. I'm trying to distract myself. I don't even know, listening to music, probably watching some TV, whatever the fuck. But the whole time in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, fuck, man, like this is some bullshit. I'm gonna be left with the kids again. My friends are getting together. That whole hype. You're in school, like, oh shit, it's fucking Friday, guys. And I'm fucking at home. Not fucking at home, but I'm at home. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I know how this shit goes. She is not gonna wake up, right? So hold on, I gotta take a fucking drink. I'm parched. Hey, wait a minute. All right. So I'm like, man, fuck this. I tell my sister. Oh, so the friend that that was gonna have the video games or whatever, right? Everybody was gonna gather. Everybody. It's like him and another friend, and he lived like let me see, like two blocks away. And so I tell my sister, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go over to my friend's house. I'm gonna go play video games and stuff. You can reach me there. If you need anything, call me, or call the house. There, and I will be there, and I'll come back. She's like, okay. And I told her, when my mom wakes up, tell her I'm at Fernie's house. Okay, tell her I'm there, and tell her to call the house whenever she wants me to come back to the house. Tell her to come to my fucking friend's house. Tell her to call my chinga Roberto. ¿Cómo te haces bolas? All right, I'm telling my sister. I'm telling my sister to tell my mom to call my friend's house to reach me. There you go. That's what I said. Okay. And because I wasn't even sneaking out anymore. I was just like, look, I'm gonna be over there. You call me. I'm gonna come back home. Boom. That's it. And that's it. Right now, let's pause that story right there. I did have a history of getting into trouble, guys. I did have a history of. I don't think I ever snuck out. I didn't have a history of sneaking out. I had a history of stay. I had a history of staying out. You know, like I said, I was so fed up that I was willing to take the L. I was willing to get grounded. So I would go out, stay out late, go past my curfew, enjoy it. But I knew once I got home, I was going to get shitted on, right? And I had a history of doing that shit, man. And I burned myself, it wasn't right. It wasn't right because I had a history of it, that's what was expected of me. And it wasn't good, man. It wasn't good. And yeah, it wasn't good. At that point, too, it didn't help that me and my dad's relationship was shit. Me and my mom's relationship, I don't think was ever good, so it was shit. Um, and my mom, also, to pause the story, right? My mom and my dad's relationship was basically, they had gotten into some argument. Of course, he was sleeping on the couch, like I said. And my mom was always catering to him, catering to him to the point of, I don't know how else to say it, but basically like, fuck these kids. He comes first. And whatever it took to make him happy. You know what I mean? He came first. So that's what the relationship was. What the fuck do you guys want? You know what I mean? And so okay, painting that picture, right? So I head out to my friend's house, and I get there, whatever. I don't have a care in my mind because I'm like, the kids aren't home alone. Well, I mean, technically, I guess they were, but I already told them to where they can contact me. All you got to do is call me. Hey, vente way. All right, I'm on my way back home. You know what I mean? I was fucking bored at home. So my mom calls, right? Some time passes, my mom calls, and I'm like, she's like, ¿Dónde estás, Junior? She was pissed. I could tell she was pissed. I mean, she wasn't making any fucking sense. ¿Dónde estás? Where are you calling? You know what I mean? Come on, man. So I was like, aquí estoy en la casa de Fernie. Like, do you want me back? Like, you want me to go back? Chingado, Junior. Blah, 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 whatever. Your dad's going to take me out, blah, 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 blah. I think she snuck in an idiota or two. Um, and blah, blah, blah. Siempre haces lo que quieres, this and this and this. And I was like, Mom, do you want me to head back home? I'll head back home. Haz lo que quieras, Junior. Paz. Hangs up. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do what I want then. She didn't say to go back. So I continue playing. Not a good fucking thing to do, you know what I mean? I'm just adding fucking gasoline to the fire. Yes, Haley, that's right. And you know what? I don't even have anything to hide because I've told Haley this story. But I see Haley doing these little smart ass things now, and I'm like, fuck, man, I can't get mad. I mean, I could get mad at her, but I remember doing that type of shit. You know what I mean? I think we all have. So, was it the right thing to do? No, I should have just gotten up, got my ass home, and that's it. But again, the environment, I'm frustrated, and it's not an excuse. It's not a valid excuse. Like, shut up, Robert. Just, you should have gotten home. That's it. End of story, right? But no. Robertito se quiso quedar con sus pinches amigos. So, probably, I don't know, like 15 minutes to maybe like half an hour pass by. Phone rings again. Roberto, es tu mamá. Like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm like, hello. Todavía no te vas. Chingada madre, Junior, this and this. And I'm like, oh shit, you said you wanted me home? Like, I'll go right now. Or you're gonna pick me up or what? Like, I'll just head over, right? Like, I'm making sense. You know what I mean? Am I fully on the right? No, I'm not. I should just I should have been home already, right? I get it. But it's 17-year-old me. So then I'm like, pues es que me colgaste, pues nunca me dijiste que querías que hiciera. So then she's like, God damn, blah, 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 ahí viene tu papá and this and that. And I'm like, so do I go home or what? And she hangs up again, right? So we went through that the little scene one more fucking time. And then, no, miento, that last time she said, ahí viene tu papá, ya me habló. And I'm like, okay, so you want me to go home? I'm asking her straight out, like, tell me you want me home and I'll go. And she's just fucking shitting on me. So I'm like, ahí viene tu papá, this and that. Like, okay, cool. I'm on my way. It's dark already. Okay, what time was it? I don't really remember. But it's dark. So let me tell you the routine that my dad, pause that movie right there. What my dad did was he went to go prime up, basically. So my dad had gone home, gotten ready, headed out, got all primed up, and he said, hey, lady, I'll be back for you. I'm going to go have fun first. And that's what he did. You know what I mean? So I think on one of those talks, when those back and forths with me and my mom, she was like, your dad just got here, or your dad's on his way. He's going to get ready. He's going to head out, and then he's going to come back for me later. So that fueled my, okay, so you don't want me back yet, right? It doesn't make sense. I know I'm wrong. But do you see my point? I don't know. It's fucking truth, So then, so my dad's, away. Now, the last call was like, your dad's, on his way. And I'm like, all right, cool, fuck it. So I'm walking back home. It's dark already, right? I get home. and this motherfucker's home. And I'm like, oh shit. All right, well, I guess they're gonna head out now. In my head, I'm like, whatever, man. Here we go. Being shunned and, just bad vibes, bad energy, everything bad. Hold on, pause. Parched. So then, I walk in, right? I walk in and I walk past the living room, or the front door. When you go into the house, you go into the living room first. You walk across the living room, then you walk into the hallway, right? Right as I turn into the hallway to go to my room, I'm looking back at everybody and everybody's just like quiet staring at me in the living room and shit. My mom's looking at me and she's like, has her fucking arms crossed. She's pissed off at me. She's just looking at me like, you fucking piece of shit, you know? And I'm like, whatever. So then I'm looking at everybody, right? And I'm kind of like looking back, walking forward still. And then as I turn into the hallway, I'm about to turn looking forward. And then boom, I crash into my dad. I'm like, oh shit, my dad's taller than me, right? So I crash into like his chest and I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh shit, my bad. And I look up, right, to look at his face and I'm like, whoa. And then he's just fucking wobbling. He's wobbling drunk, right? And he's just like breathing. And like I got really close because I crashed into him. And I smelled his fucking breath, guys. And it smelled like fucking alcohol like crazy. And I was like, oh, disgusting. Like, you know? And I was like, oh, God. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, okay, my bad. Like, go ahead. You may proceed. Take your woman out, dog. I didn't say that shit, but I thought it. And so he's like wobbling, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, damn, this dude's fucked up and he's gonna go out. And then he looks at me, right? And right as I'm gonna go like around him or anything, he's just like, what's up? And my dad he doesn't know how to speak English, right? The only times he would speak English was when he was drunk. So right when he's like, what's up? I was like, oh shit, this guy's fucking hammered. And I was like, what's up? And he's like, ¿Qué pinche pedo traes? And I was like, what? And I'm just trying to go around him, right? And he's like getting in my way. And he's all, ¿Qué pinche, quién chingados te crees, güey? And I was like, whoa. And he had never spoken to me like that. And I was like, what the fuck? And in my head, I'm like, I'm alarmed. But at the same time, I'm like, he's fucked up. He's fucked up. Just let it slide, man. You can't argue with the drunk. And he had never done that before, right? So he starts talking shit, And he starts repeating himself. I guess he wants me to answer him. And I'm like, man, ya llegué. Like, me querían en la casa, aquí estoy en la casa. The same tone, right? I'm telling you guys right here. Ya llegué, aquí estoy en la casa, me querían en la casa para cuidar a los niños, van a salir. Go ahead. And he's like, ¿quién chingados te crees, güey? And I was like, what the fuck? He's all, estoy harto de oír a tu mamá quejándose de ti. Todos los pinches días. Junior esto, Junior y esto, ahora Junior this, and Junior that. And I'm like in my head, I'm thinking, don't argue with him. Like, you're not going to get anywhere. And I'm like, ya estoy aquí, ya se pueden ir. So then I'm trying to remember how the story went. It's almost like I'm fucking there again. So then he starts pushing me with his chest, right? Like chested, like bumping me and shit. And I'm like, man, and I'm just like backing off, I'm not going towards him, I'm just like backing off. And I'm like, look, man. And so I just like slid my way past him to my room. And I thought for sure that was gonna be it. So then I'm in my room and I'm just like, just calm down, don't take it personal, he's drunk. And also thinking, man, this is some fucking bullshit, right? And my brother and my sister were in the living room the whole time. And so then I'm in my room, right? I'm just trying to process everything. And while I'm trying to process everything, my dad comes in the room and he's still talking shit. You know what I mean? And he kind of is talking shit to like he wants to do something, but like he wants to fight me or at least like encounter me. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? And he's like, I had a hoodie on. I think I had a hoodie. Yeah, I think I had a hoodie on. Yeah. Cause he's like, he walks in again, right? He's all, what's up? And I was like, oh my God, this guy again. Like, what do you want, man? Go away. And he's all, te crees muy chingón o qué chingados? And I was like, what? I was like, Dad, just leave already, man. Just go. Just, yeah, váyanse, hombre. And he grabs me by the hoodie, like on my chest. He wraps around his fist around the hoodie, right? And he starts jabbing me in my chin every time he would say a word, right? So he would say, ¿Quién chingados te crees, güey? Muchos pinches huevos. Like, he was just like jabbing me, you know what I mean? And I'm like, lightly, but enough to where I'm like, all right, I get it. You're tough. All right. And while he's doing all that, I'm processing like, nah. And I'm going from like, nah to like, this motherfucker wants to throw down. So while he's doing all that, right, I could see over his shoulder, right, I could see my mom in the doorway. And my mom still with her hands crossed, arms crossed, still giving me this like, yeah, that's right, motherfucker. That's what you fucking get. How dare you, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? How dare you leave and how dare you not answer or how dare you, whatever, And I'm looking at her like, fucking help. I don't think this guy is fucking around, right? And I'm looking at her and I'm giving her the help eyes, Like, help me, like, get this guy away from me. And she's just like, yeah, I like, she's just like loving it, right? And I'm like, oh shit. And I went from like, what the fuck, to like, now I'm scared because now he's tapping me on my chin. Now what's next, right? And that's what I'm thinking. And the whole time, he's drunk. He's just repeating himself a lot. Who the fuck do I think I am? I think I'm so fucking ballsy. Sí, muy chingón, and this and that. Me creo mucho porque tengo un trabajo. All this shit. So then he still has his fist wrapped around my hoodie. He's all, ¿sabes qué? I guess it pissed him off that I wasn't like reacting to him and shit. And he's all, ¿sabes qué, güey? Ya me tienes harto. He's all, vete la chingada. And I was like, what? I was like, man, whatever. And he fucking pulls me by my hoodie, right? So he's pulling me by my hoodie out of my room, into the hallway, into the living room. And I see my brother and my sister on the couch. They're just staring at us like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm looking at my mom, and my mom, same shit, guys. Same, like, nothing. No response. No, all right, break it up, guys. Nothing. She's just looking at me like she's loving it. Fucking loving it. I'm like, what the fuck, man? So she's so we go out. We go outside the fucking the house, right? Okay, pause the movie right there. So we had two vehicles, right? My dad had a fucking, what is it, a Ford Econoline, a van, right? And it was all tricked out and shit. It had a fucking TV inside, and it was like I don't know, like a luxury type of deal, you know what I mean? It was like it was his baby, right? He would always fucking wash, have it clean and shit, and vacuumed and all this shit, right? We took some road trips in it and shit. So it was like his his vehicle, And then my mom had a fucking old ass fucking station wagon that fucking rocked like a boat because it needed what is those shits called? Fucking shocks, and it was just like horrible, night and day vehicles, fucking all fucked up, shitty ass vehicle. And my dad was all like, oh, pinchy luxury and shit. So he okay, so now we're continuing the movie, right? So we're outside. He's still dragging me. We go through the front door, and then we had a gate, right? And he was parked in front of the house, by the sidewalk. So we go, and he opens the gate to the outside. He takes me to the street, and then he slams me against the van, right? He's all, ya vete la chingada, güey. He's all, la quieres, güey, llévatela. He's all, pero ya no te quiero ver. And I'm looking at him like, man, whatever. And I remember like going in my head, right? Like, man, whatever. And looking at his eyes, and he's looking at me like I'm fucking serious. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, que te vayas, güey. Vete a la verga. And I was like, oh shit. And I looked at him, and I remember squinting like, are you fucking serious? And he's just staring at me like, and he just points like down the street like, go, like leave. And I was like, oh shit. And I didn't know what to do. I was waiting for him to like, somehow say never mind, some shit. He was just there, and I was like, okay. So I went back in, right? And as I'm heading inside, I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna get as much clothes as I can, as much of my shit that I can, and I'm leaving. Fuck this. So while I'm heading back, my mom is at the fucking doorway of the house, right? With her fucking arms still crossed and shit. She's like, just the whole fucking time, guys, just giving me this, you get that. That's what you fucking deserve, you piece of shit, right? And I guess she saw my, like, me walking determined, like I know what I'm gonna do and shit. As I passed her, she went from like her arms crossed to like, wait a minute, what the fuck? What is he doing? So I go back into my room. I take out, as much shit from my backpack that I don't need for school, and I start putting clothes in there, right? Underwear, socks, just fucking shirts, pants, whatever I can fit. Some other, probably like some CDs and shit, whatever the fuck, I'm packing out my backpack, and then as I'm packing on my backpack, my mom comes in, and she's all, ¿Qué estás haciendo, Junior? ¿Qué estás haciendo? And I look up at her, and I'm like, oh, in my head, right? Even though all this fucking bullshit would happen between me and my parents, I never fathomed the idea of talking back, right? Never did. So I probably should have, but I knew better. You know what I mean? There's a respect thing there. You know what I mean? Like, you still respect your elders. So, or at least that's the way I would see it, right? So I looked up at her, and in my head I'm just thinking, oh, now you're concerned. Now you want to know what's going on. Now you want to be my mother. You know what I mean? It just fucking pissed me off, man. So then I'm filling out my backpack, and I'm telling her, me dijo que me largara. Ya me corrió de la casa. And she's like, ¿a dónde vas, Junior? ¿Ya de dónde vas a ir? Le dije, don't worry about it. Le dije, pero ya me voy. Ya no me quieren aquí, pues ya me voy, pues. And she's like, Junior, deja ahí, deja. And she kind of like half-assed, like, no, don't, put her hand in the way, kind of, but not really. And I'm like, man, whatever. And she goes over to my dad, right? She goes into the living room, and I could hear her tell him, like, Roberto, se está llenando la mochila de sus cosas. Dice que se va a ir, haz algo. And my dad was just quiet, And she's all, Roberto, que hagas algo. My dad's name is Roberto too. Go figure, right? And so I remember him saying like, no, pues déjalo que se vaya. Yo le dije que se largara. Déjalo que se vaya. And I was like, fuck this motherfucker, man. So got all my shit, right? Oh, and I had a guitar too, because I was, I don't know how to play guitar, but I was in guitar class because I really wanted to learn how to play guitar. And I remember having that shit, right? So, pinche desesperado, Roberto acá. Desperado. Nah, desesperado. So, I'm carrying my fucking guitar in my backpack, right? And I'm walking. I'm in the living room, about to head out or whatever. And my mom's like, Junior, que no te vayas, this and that. And I'm just like, whatever. Pinches, what are they called? Pinche crocodile tears and shit. And then my dad was sitting on the couch, right? And then he gets up and he said, ¿Qué, muy chingón o qué? And I'm like, again with you, motherfucker? God damn. Y le dije, ya me voy. Like, I don't know, something like excuse me or some shit like move, something like that, right? Because he's in my way. I'm fucking leaving. I'm getting out of your hair, bro. Like, the fuck. And I remember him like, muy chingón o qué? And he starts bumping me with his chest more and more. And I'm like, este güey me tiene ganas. And he pushed me, right? He pushed me, not with all this strength, but he pushed me. And I put my fucking backpack down and I put my fucking guitar down. And I thought to myself, if he pushes me 2 more times, come on, guys, I'm fucking scared, man. This is my fucking hero. You know what I mean? It's my dad. So, um, so I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna let one slide, but then after that, shit, man, I might have to clench up my fist and just start fucking swinging at this motherfucker, right? And I remember really thinking about that, you know? I remember it a thought, right? So he fucking pushes me again. And I'm like, all right, he's gonna do it again, Robert. You know he's gonna do it again. So then I'm like, all right, fuck it. Like in my head, I'm already thinking, fuck it. He pushes you again, clench up and just fucking swing for his fucking face, right? So then, boom, he pushes me again. And I'm like, man. And I remember just like looking down to my side and just like, man, fuck it. You know what I mean? And right as those words in my mind came out, right? I look down and then I look at the side, right next to us, man. Right fucking next to us is a couch, okay? My brother and my sister were right fucking there. Let me see. If I was 17, my brother was probably like 10 and my sister was like 8. Some shit like that, right? Maybe even younger. They're kids, okay? And I remember seeing them and they're just looking up at us, right? Like, this is the most entertaining shit of my life, right? But like, what the fuck is gonna happen next? And just like, their stares, their innocent stares. I just remember like locking eyes with them. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I can't set this example. Nah. So I picked up my backpack. I picked up my guitar. Might have, given him a shoulder, just like the fuck out of the way. You know what I mean? I didn't say anything though. As I'm picking up all my shit, my mom's like, Roberto, telling my dad like, hey, just stop him. Don't let him leave. Don't let him leave. And as I'm walking, across the living room and shit, he's like, déjalo que se vaya. And these words are engraved in my brain, guys. He said, déjalo que se vaya. Va a regresar. ¿A poco cree que puede, like, that I can, that my friends are always going to be there for me, And he also said that I was going to drop out of school, and that I was going to be a bum, que iba a andar pidiendo limosna en la calle. Déjalo, va a regresar, déjalo. And those words, stuck in my brain. They will never go. Might as well get them tattooed. Only reason I don't get them tattooed is because I'll fucking hate that fucking tattoo. You know what I mean? But that was the first time that I remember someone saying, "I will fail," and the stubborn in me made it a point, to prove them wrong. I graduated. I wasn't doing that good in school, guys. After I left, I got kicked out, whatever the fuck. My grades went up. I made it a point, man. I know me. You know what I mean? And this is going back to my son. I figured out my superpower. Even back then, I kind of didn't know. All I knew was like, he told me I was gonna do this, so I'm not gonna do that. And that was it. and that lit the fire for me. You know what I mean? That gave me purpose. Um, it was the best thing he could have told me to do, man. Cause I don't fuck around with shit like that. You know, you tell me I can't do something, watch me. You know, it's just how I am. You know what I mean? And I ended up, going back, but I ended up going back later, like after I graduated. You know what I mean? Cause I'll save that story for another time. But yeah, I didn't end up going back for years, for a few years, and hopefully, till this day, I don't know what their side of the story is, how they take it. You know what I mean? They're completely different people now. I could tell you that. But I could see right through them. You know what I mean? It took me years to not be mad at them. You know, they never told me they were sorry. Nah, I'm not expecting it anymore. There was, a long, 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 long time where I would expect a sorry. And now I've just learned to forgive them, and forgiven them years ago. You know what I mean? Because it's not good to live with that burden. It's not healthy. It takes up your energy, and I'd rather be using that energy on my family. You know what I mean? On my wife, for good. On my son, on my daughter, on my nephews. I'd rather be doing that than to be holding on to negative shit. That I can't control. You know what I mean? And yeah. So it was crazy, man. So just to finish up that story too, I just remembered something else. So I went over to my friend's house that I was with earlier, and as soon as I showed up, they opened the door and they're like, "What the fuck?" And as soon as they opened the door, they just stared at me, and these were two of my best friends, right? And as soon as they opened the door, man, I just started crying. They're like, "What happened?" Right? So they opened the door. I wasn't crying. They opened the door, and they're looking at my backpack and my guitar, like with my shit, like, what happened? And I was about to like tell them, like, man, I got kicked out, and I couldn't, like, the words didn't come out. I just started bawling, guys, like crying, bawling, and they're just staring at me like, what the fuck? And even if I wanted to, I couldn't, because it was just like, it was one of those where like you can't catch your breath of how much you're crying, and it's just like crying and crying and crying, and they're like, okay, he's not gonna say anything, like, come on in. And then it sat me down in the room and shit. And then they're like, what happened? And I'm just crying, and I was like, I can't, like, just wait. And they're like, okay. And I was just crying and crying and crying. And they're like, you know what? Just take your time. Don't worry about it. Just sit there. Just tell us whenever you're ready. And I was like, okay. And I was just crying and crying and crying to the point where like they kept on playing the video game. They're playing the video game, and I'm just crying. I'm crying, like really, really crying, guys, like really letting the shit out, And thinking back on it now, that cry was, at least, what I feel, right? I think that cry was me mourning my parents. I lost my parents that day. I lost my hero. I lost my mom. Like, they were no more to me, in my eyes, in my heart. And I think it was just a mourning cry, like, you just lost your parents. And it was really tough to accept that. Now, at the time, I didn't know that. All I knew was what was coming out. It didn't take me till like years later to figure that shit out. But that's what it was, That's what I feel it was. Because I was like, why was I crying so fucking much? You know what I mean? So anyways, finally I gathered myself. And hold on. Fucking parched again. And I gather myself. So I start telling them the whole story, blah, 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 this and that, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, damn, so what are you going to do now? And I was like, I have no idea, man. I have no idea. And these were two of my best friends, man. Um, and they both offered, for me to, to live with them. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay. And I ended up, I had to choose, between them. And later on, the guy that I didn't choose, he got his feelings hurt because he said, hey, man, I've known you longer. I really thought you were going to live with me or whatever. But it's just, it was just a lot to take in. But how I felt really lucky to have, those friends at that moment. I really, really needed that. And so, yeah, he's like, don't worry about it. I already called my parents. I told them what happened. They said it's cool. I was like, okay, cool. Now, pause. If you ever go through this type of shit, you know what I mean? If you're young or whatever, if you're ever going through this type of shit, remember, communicate. If it gets to the point where you get kicked out or you have to live with anybody outside of your family, communicate with that head of the household. Communicate with, if you're going to live with your friend at your friend's house, you know what I mean? Communicate with the parents, communicate with the mom, communicate with the dad, um, just communicate, you know what I mean? It's very important. That's something that, I regret to this day, that I didn't really communicate about me being there. I would always tell, my friend, like, oh man, I'm going to give your mom some money that way, because I feel bad. And like, no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. She doesn't want anything. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What I should have done is I should have, gone to her. But, stupid Robert. But anyways, just want to let you know that, just in case you ever run into that. Big regret that I have. But anyways, back. So I was like, okay, cool, thanks. And, my other friend said too, like, I just spoke to my parents and they said, you're more than welcome to stay with us too. And I'm like, all right, cool, thank you. So I had already chosen, right? So then they're like, so what are you going to do about your parents? And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't want to know anything about them. And they're like, yeah, but they're going to be looking for you. And they know where to look. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, I have to do something that way I don't cause a burden to the household, right? I need to do something to let them know, leave me alone. You wanted this, now follow through with it. Leave me the fuck alone, right? So, actually, one of my friends was like, what if you call the cops? And I was like, call the cops? For what? What are they going to do? And mind you, we're a bunch of fucking 17-year-olds trying to figure this shit out, right? So I was like, what are they going to do? And he's like, well, you said that he was punching you on the chin, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, my chin is kind of sore. I was like, yeah, let me call the cops. Just tell them to tell my parents to just leave me alone or whatever. So I call the cops, and they go over to my friend's house, and I tell them what happened and everything. Kind of weird. They put me in the cop car, and they said, well, okay, rewind. They searched me, asked me if I had any bombs or anything like that. And then they asked me for my story. I told them what happened. And then they said, so what do you want us to do? And I was like, I just want them to leave me alone. And they said, well, you're underage. Technically, we can't do that, but we can tell them to just give you some time. And I was like, okay. And they said, do you want us, what would they say? Basically, like, we're going to have to go to your house to talk to your parents. I'm like, okay, do you want to go with us? And I'm like, not really. And they said, you can stay in the car. And I was like, oh shit. I guess. So they put me in the back. I was like, yikes. It's all fucking plastic seats and shit. But they were nice. It was just fucking 2 blocks. We got there really quick. But We get there, right? Right as we're pulling up to outside my parents' house, the fucking van, like I see my mom getting in and my dad getting in. And if I'm not mistaken, my dad was gonna drive. And I was like, oh shit, they're still gonna head out? What the fuck, man? And we roll up behind them and stuff. I might be wrong. I don't think my dad was driving because I think they would have arrested him for drunk driving because he was fucked up. Um, but they pulled up behind him, and then they were speaking to him, and the cops said that they just told him, that I was gonna stay at a friend's house and that I didn't want them to know where I was staying, and just to give me some time. But I remember thinking to myself, like, wait a minute, are they really gonna head out? Like, it just stuck in my head. I'm like, wow, these motherfuckers were gonna head out still. Like, I could easily tell the cops, hey, by the way, check the house. There's 2 minors in there. They were gonna head out. You know what I mean? But the non-ridiculous, more mature me is giving them the benefit of the doubt now and thinking to myself, maybe my brother and my sister were in the van and they were gonna go get McDonald's or fucking something. You know what I mean? And I never found out. You know what I mean? Nor do I really care. But yeah. So as of that point, I was kind of on my own. Kind of, not really, because I'm really grateful for my friend and his family for taking me in all those years. I learned a lot. I had to grow up really quick, and I was really proud of myself. I still am, you know what I mean? And I remember thinking that night, so what are you gonna do, Robert? You gonna drop out? Party? No one's gonna tell you what to do. You know what I mean? At that point, I was working at Whataburger too, and it was the day before St. Patrick's Day. I remember, and I was like, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna drop out of school? You're gonna quit your job? You're gonna party? You're like, what are you gonna do?" And I remember thinking to myself, like, "No, I'm gonna be a fucking grown ass man. I'm not." And I remember telling myself these words before I went to sleep. I'm not gonna drop out. I will graduate. I'm not gonna quit my job. You know, I'm gonna own up to this. I'm gonna grow up. And yeah, the next morning, I showed up to work, and I just remember walking in there and being like, I'm grown. I'm a grown up. I have to do this. I have to man up. And yeah, guys, it was a doozy. I had to grow up quick, and that's what will end this story. So a lot of the times, our blood family thinks that we're obligated to stay in contact with them, or to treat them a certain way, or to have them disrespect us, just because we're family or whatever the hell. Or they think that we have to be close because we're family, because we're blood. It's not always the case, man. And I'm a good example of that, because like I said at the beginning, like most of my family, my close family that I have, besides my brother and my sister, we're not blood related, man. My big brother is my big brother. Like, that's shit. He helped me become a man. He molded me, into the man that I've become, and that I'm still, becoming. Thanks to my wife too. My wife's family is basically my family. You know what I mean? So you never know where you're gonna get, people that are gonna help you. And it's not always family. It's not always blood family. But yeah, man. Hopefully you got something from this story, and hopefully, if you do relate, just know that you're not the only one. I know I wasn't the only one, because as time passed, I got to meet some people and got to hear their stories. And yeah, if you're going through it, just follow your gut, follow your conscience, follow that voice, because I know that's what I did, and that helped me out a lot. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to reach out either, man. You got to reach out to someone. If it's not me, then someone that you can trust, with the trouble that you're going through, because everybody's going through something, you know? There's not a moment in time where someone's not going through something. And hopefully this gave you, some advice. Hopefully you got some advice from this shit. You know what I mean? So hopefully you could take something from this. And yeah, man. You know how this shit goes, man. I will be dropping this shit whenever the fuck I want to. If you're going through something, keep your head up. You'll be fine. Trust me. Trust me. And yeah, man. We'll see you later.